Hi everyone, Chris here from the Okanagan Regional Library. Today we're going to artificially age some wood to make it look old and gray and faded like this example here. I'm going to apply a chemical mixture to this fresh piece of plywood and also to these small pieces of balsa wood, and hopefully when I'm done they're going to look like this old piece of gray wood over on the left. So to start with, I'll need some very fine steel wool, some white vinegar, and I'll mix those two things together in a yogurt pot, and then I'll use a paintbrush to apply it to the wood. I'm going to cheat a little bit and use some steel wool and vinegar that I previously mixed together. It's been sitting in this container for a very long time. The vinegar has gone very brown with rust. There used to be a small amount of steel wool in this container, but as you can see, it has almost completely dissolved. So I'm going to brush this mixture onto the small pieces of wood that I have here and see what happens. The way this works is the acid in the vinegar oxidizes the iron in the steel wool, creating iron acetate. The iron acetate reacts with the tannins in the wood and turns the wood a dark color. Tannins are a compound found in wood, bark, and leaves that protect the tree or plant by making them not taste very good. Oddly enough, humans sometimes enjoy that taste, for example in tea, coffee, wine, and chocolate. If you've ever seen a stream full of old rotten leaves that has turned a rich brown color, that's probably caused by the tannins leaching out of the decomposing wood and leaves. Because tea contains tannins as well, I'm mixing up a tea solution here, just some loose leaf tea in hot water, and then I'm going to paint that onto the wood, and then on top of the tea I'm going to apply the wood aging solution. The idea is that increasing the amount of tannins on my piece of plywood here is going to result in a more dramatic gray color. We'll see what happens. Okay, that's it. So now I just need to leave these. I think I'll probably put them out in the sun to help them dry out and speed up the aging process. After leaving these pieces of wood outside for 4 or 5 days in the sun, here's the final result. The end of this piece of wood hasn't gone perfectly silver like the rest of it, but that's good enough for me. This piece of wood is interesting. The side that was treated with a coating of tea is not much different from the others. Here's an untreated piece of plywood for comparison. Makes quite a difference, doesn't it? So just for reference, here is the mixture of steel wool and vinegar that I treated this piece of wood with. This is the stuff that was sitting around for a couple of years, actually, and it's become very rusty. I'm not entirely happy with how dark this piece of wood has become, and I think part of that is because it's so rust-stained. So I made up another mixture, a fresh one, of just vinegar and steel wool, and it's been sitting in this container for about 4 or 5 days, and you can see the steel wool has started to disintegrate in the vinegar, and it's starting to change color. That suggests to me that this is about ready to use, so I'm going to paint some onto this piece of wood right here, but I think first I'm going to strain it through a cloth and filter out some of these bits of steel wool. A coffee filter would work very well for this. Probably a lot better than this blue cloth that I'm using. Anytime I mix up chemicals or anything that's not good to eat or drink and store them in food containers, like these ricotta or yogurt containers, I make sure to label it so that nobody ever uses these for food ever again. There we go.
So having created a clean, fresh mixture of steel wool and vinegar that I've filtered to get rid of the little steel wool particles, I'm going to try painting some onto some fresh pieces of wood, and I'll show you the difference between this fresh mixture and the old rusty mixture that I tried before. I'm just using an old paintbrush to apply this to the wood. There we go. I'll leave these out in the sun for maybe another 3 or 4 days. It's been 24 hours and I just retrieved these pieces of wood from the front porch where I had them sitting in the sun. These are the ones that were treated with the new mixture of steel wool and vinegar, and this is the piece that was treated with the old mixture that I had sitting around for a couple of years that had gone very rusty. And you can see the difference here. The old rusty mixture has turned the wood quite a brown color, which is perhaps to be expected, and the new mixture has turned it more of a gray color. Not quite as silvery gray as the original aged wood here, but good enough for my purposes. It definitely has that old beat-up aged look, kind of like original barn wood. And just to compare, this is what I started with. So in only 24 hours, this piece of wood has gone from being pristine and kind of a light brown color to an aged gray-brown color. So this is perfect for those craft projects and woodworking projects where you want to have kind of an antique look. Thanks for joining me for this quick look at how to artificially age wood. I hope you enjoyed the video and you can find some kind of use for this technique. Be sure to subscribe if you'd like to see more of this kind of thing, and we'll see you next time.